The strangest things on Earth are not what humanity has already discovered, but what still exist in silence, waiting to be found. Places that seem to defy imagination, as though they have never truly belonged to the world we know. Underground cities hidden beneath the earth, bridges suspended high above the clouds, giant sinkholes sheltering entire ancient forests, and temples that have stood watch over towering cliffs for more than 1,000 years. Each wonder holds a story shaped by both nature and time. Some of their mysteries have been uncovered while others remain beyond explanation, inviting us to marvel rather than understand. And perhaps the greatest fascination lies not in the answers, but in the journey of searching for them. Join us as we explore these extraordinary wonders where every destination reveals a story beyond imagination. There is an expressway where more than 41 miles of the journey almost never touch the ground. Instead, the road glides across 270 bridges and 25 tunnels, suspended among the towering peaks of the Hengduan Mountains like a ribbon of steel stretching through the sky. Opened in 2012, the Ya'an-Shicheng Expressway forms part of the Beijing-Kunming corridor, climbing above 13,000 feet while crossing 12 active fault zones. To conquer this unstable landscape, engineers designed specialized spiral tunnels capable of absorbing seismic forces and safely navigating around pockets of underground gas and fragile rock. One of its most remarkable structures is the Ganhaizi Bridge, featuring a unique concrete truss design with supports rising 598 feet above the valley. The highway's gradual climb also allows vehicles to adapt smoothly to the increasing altitude, making the dramatic elevation change almost imperceptible to passengers. Before this expressway existed, the Yi people carried salt across these same mountains along narrow mule trails. Today, that ancient trade route has evolved into a modern transportation corridor connecting Sichuan and Yunnan, where centuries-old commerce and world-class engineering continue to share the same narrow passage through mountains that have stood unchanged for millions of years. With nothing more than 13 villages, a handful of hammers and chisels, and 5 years of relentless determination, an entire mountain was carved open by human hands. Every 3 days they advanced only about 1 meter, yet they never considered giving up. Between 1972 and 1977, the villagers living high on the cliffs of the Taihang Mountains sold their livestock to buy tools. They had no machines, no engineers, and no outside assistance. Their only alternative was to remain isolated on a mountaintop village, accessible only by the near-vertical stone staircase known as the Sky Ladder, a route that had existed since around 1000 BC. The tunnel stretches more than 4,000 feet and is approximately 50 feet wide, carved entirely through solid rock by hand. The uneven windows along the cliff were originally created to remove excavated stone, but today they frame breathtaking views of the valley below. After an earthquake damaged sections of the tunnel in 1976, the villagers reinforced it using a combination of traditional techniques and modern methods. To this day, village elders still tell stories of spirits guiding the workers through the most difficult sections of the excavation. And when visitors finally emerge into the daylight, what awaits them is more than a spectacular view. It is living proof that no mountain is greater than the determination of people who refuse to let isolation define their future. Reaching this temple requires more than a journey by road. It can only be accessed by boat across the waters of the Liujiaxia Reservoir. They're carved into towering cliffs above the Yellow River. A 230-foot-tall Buddha has watched over the landscape in silence for more than 1,600 years. This is Bingling Temple, a complex of 183 caves first carved in 420 AD during the Northern Wei dynasty. Every statue and mural reflects the meeting of Indian Buddhist sculpture and Chinese artistic traditions, preserving the cultural legacy carried along the Silk Road to these remote cliffs. Scientific analysis has confirmed that many of the murals date back to 421 AD, making them among the oldest surviving Buddhist artworks in China. When the reservoir's water level drops, hidden walkways emerge, revealing colossal Buddha statues inside caves that once sheltered people during times of war. The temple has survived the devastating 1920 earthquake and countless invasions, remaining firmly anchored to the cliffs above the Yellow River. Its endurance is not the result of repeated restoration, but of the extraordinary resilience of stone itself, making Bingling Temple one of the greatest living witnesses to history along the ancient Silk Road. There is a city so well hidden that you could stand directly above it without ever realizing it exists. For more than 4,000 years, nearly 100,000 people lived entirely underground, transforming the Yellow Earth Cliffs above the Yellow River into one of the oldest and largest subterranean settlements ever created. No concrete, no steel, using nothing but the natural strength of the earth, ancient builders created homes that stayed cool in summer, warm in winter, and resilient enough to withstand seasonal flooding for more than 2,000 years, a remarkable feat of engineering long before the idea of sustainable architecture even existed. Since the Han Dynasty, shared storage chambers, fruit-filled courtyards, and communal living spaces were carefully carved beneath the surface, creating a thriving underground community. Modern studies have shown that the surrounding soil is exceptionally resistant to erosion, while the settlement's thoughtful layout reflects an urban planning philosophy far ahead of its time. Most astonishing of all, the entire settlement functions in harmony with nature. Natural ventilation shafts carry smoke to the surface without mechanical systems, while even heavy rainfall above rarely penetrates the homes below. After thousands of years, the Samengsia cave dwellings remain one of the world's greatest examples of how humanity can adapt to the landscape, not by conquering nature, but by learning to live in balance with it. East of Lhasa, at 14,000 feet, a monastery sits on a hillside where every sunrise lights the valley gold, and the sound of yak bells drifts upward from the grazing herds below. Ganden Monastery was founded by Tsongkhapa in 1409 as the spiritual heart of the Gelug school of Tibetan Buddhism. It was destroyed in 1959 and rebuilt in the 1990s, and today Tsongkhapa's ashes rest in a silver stupa within the reconstructed halls. Pilgrims walk prayer circuits around the buildings, burning juniper incense and pausing before colorful murals that survived the destruction, and carry the memory of what was lost, alongside the evidence of what was saved. Texts dating from the 1500s document the development of Tibetan Buddhist teachings, and monks still hold lively debates under the open sky, maintaining Tsongkhapa's emphasis on rigorous study and doctrinal purity in a setting where the altitude alone is enough to test the limits of concentration. The monastery does not look down at the valley. It looks across it, as though it and the landscape had agreed long ago to regard each other as equals. China is home to a pagoda that rises 128 meters 420 feet into the sky, but its true wonder lies beneath it. For nearly 1,700 years, the ground beneath this tower has remained a sacred Buddhist site, preserving an unbroken spiritual legacy since the Sui dynasty. This is Tianning Temple in Jiangsu Province. Completed in 2010, the temple stands on foundations dating back to the 6th century. Its towering pagoda, the tallest in China, was built from dense hardwood imported from Myanmar and Papua New Guinea, while its upper levels are adorned with more than 75 tons of brass and gold. On the 13th floor hangs a 30-ton bronze bell, whose deep resonance can be heard from as far as 5 kilometers away. Inside the temple, more than 10,000 Buddha statues fill the halls, creating an atmosphere that feels alive with devotion rather than simply decorated. Yet Tianning Temple is more than an architectural masterpiece. It is also regarded as one of the birthplaces of Fanbai, the ancient Buddhist chanting tradition that has shaped Chinese Buddhist liturgy for centuries. Today, the temple stands not only as Changzhou's largest Buddhist complex, but as a powerful symbol of China's enduring history, faith, and cultural heritage. Amid the barren desert of Gansu Province stands an ancient fortress that has remained remarkably intact for more than 650 years. A place once filled with the thunder of war drums, the shouts of soldiers, and fierce battles has now fallen into an almost complete silence. This is Yongtai Fortress, built in 1372 during the Ming Dynasty to protect one of the most strategic passes along the Silk Road. Its rammed earth walls, nearly 20 feet thick and stretching about 1,640 feet, formed a powerful defensive stronghold capable of sheltering up to 10,000 people at its peak. Whenever enemies approached, soldiers poured boiling oil from the ramparts, while drum towers sounded warnings across the desert. The echoes traveled so far that nearby garrisons could be alerted long before the enemy came into view. Beneath the fortress underground, granaries used a cooling system perfected during the Han Dynasty, keeping grain fresh for months. But as the caravans of the Silk Road gradually disappeared and the age of warfare came to an end, the fortress lost the purpose it had been built for. Today, only a handful of families remain inside its walls, farming the land where armies once stood guard, surrounded by a silence that borders on solitude. Today, Yongtai Fortress stands not only as an extraordinary example of ancient military architecture, but also as a reminder of an era when the safety of one of the world's greatest trade routes depended on fortresses like this. After faithfully serving its purpose for centuries, it now remains quietly waiting, preserving the memory of a remarkable chapter in history. Only a few square kilometers in size, this island became a place where two worlds met and lived together in perfect harmony. Ancient Chinese traditions and European colonial architecture stand side by side, creating a landscape where history seems to have paused rather than disappeared. This is Gulangyu Island off the coast of Fujian, a place where cars are forbidden and the streets are filled only with footsteps, bird song, ocean waves, and piano melodies drifting from old windows. After the Opium Wars, the island became an international settlement in 1903, leaving behind a rare blend of Western and Fujian architectural styles. Its name comes from Gulang Rock, a coastal formation that produces a drum-like sound when struck by waves. In the early 1900s, residents owned more than 1,000 pianos, earning Gulangyu the title of Piano Island. Even today, music flows through the quiet streets, merging with the sea breeze to create a melody found nowhere else. Now, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Gulangyu is more than an island. It is a living monument to cultural exchange, a place where Eastern heritage, Western influence, and the rhythm of the sea continue to tell a story that has lasted for generations. The steepest of the three great peaks of Huangshan, and the only one that requires you to climb a rock wall so close to vertical that the distinction between hiking and climbing ceases to exist. Tiandu Peak is formed entirely from sharp granite, where vertical rock faces create terrain of extraordinary difficulty. To reach the summit, hikers must hold on to more than 1,500 stone steps, carved directly into the solid rock, with the steepest sections approaching 90 degrees. The most feared passage is Carp Backbone, a narrow rock strip less than 3.3 feet wide and about 33 feet long, suspended between deep drops on both sides. At this elevation, sudden wind gusts and dense fog can erase visibility in moments, turning the slippery stone steps into a zone of extreme and immediate danger. Because it is the highest pointed summit reaching into the sky, Tiandu Peak frequently receives powerful lightning strikes, and the entire area is closed immediately when signs of thunderstorms appear. The mountain does not negotiate with weather, it simply shuts the door. At nearly 4,000 meters above the earth, there is a river that does not carve through the mountains. It declares war on them. The Yarlung Sangpo, known as the Everest of rivers, plunges through a world of black cliffs and endless shadows, carrying a force so immense that the water below sounds less like a current and more like a living beast awakening beneath the rock. For thousands of years, the mountains have tried to contain it. They have collapsed into its path, trapping millions of tons of water behind walls of stone. But when those barriers finally surrender, the river erupts, releasing a flood powerful enough to tear valleys apart and redraw the land itself. Nothing here remains stable for long. Mist can bury entire canyons in seconds. Snowstorms can descend without warning. A sudden shift in temperature can strip away human strength before the body even realizes it is losing control. The Yarlung Tsangpo is not a river to be conquered. It is a reminder that some places on Earth were never built for humans. They were built for forces far older, far larger, and far more powerful than us. This extraordinary wonder was created as underground rivers slowly eroded layers of limestone over millions of years. Then one day, the massive rock ceiling finally gave way, revealing a sinkhole more than 600 meters deep and forming one of the largest sinkholes ever discovered on Earth. What is truly astonishing is that a primeval rainforest thrives at the bottom of the chasm, almost completely isolated from the outside world. Thousands of plant species flourish in this secluded environment, including rare ferns and orchids that are found almost nowhere else on the planet. Today, wooden walkways stretch along the towering cliffs, allowing visitors to gaze into the mist-covered depths from high above. Shafts of sunlight pierce through the enormous opening, creating a landscape that is both breathtaking and mysterious, as if stepping into a forgotten world. More than just a spectacular natural wonder, this sinkhole serves as a priceless geological archive, helping scientists uncover millions of years of Earth's history. At the same time, ongoing conservation efforts continue to protect its fragile ecosystem, ensuring that this hidden world beneath the surface remains a living testament to the extraordinary power of nature. In the karst plateau of Guizhou, a basin 1,300 feet deep holds a cloud forest where fungi glow in the dark and ferns that survived the age of dinosaurs still uncurl their fronds in the humid air. Lang Tiankang was sculpted 200 million years ago by acidic erosion, working patiently through limestone, and its creation is linked by seismic records to the same tectonic activity that formed the gorges of the Yangtze. The pit spans 3 miles across, and within its humid microclimate, bioluminescent fungi light the forest floor in pale blue, while ancient fern species persist in conditions that have changed so little over geological time they amount to a living museum of the Mesozoic. More than 500 insect species inhabit the basin, each one an evolutionary holdout that adapted to this sunken world, while the climate above shifted and changed without them. Sky bridges along the rim frame, views of waterfalls plunging into fog-filled voids, and bamboo ladders provide access to base sites where Tugia foragers once gathered honey from the cliffs, their stories casting the pit not as a wound in the earth, but as a guardian of hidden waters. On the karst plateau of Guizhou, 12 massive earthen mounds rise more than 100 feet above the surrounding landscape. Built over 2,200 years ago by a civilization that has long vanished, they left behind just enough evidence to fascinate us, but never quite enough to fully explain their existence. The Anlong pyramids were constructed around 200 BC by the Yelang people, serving as both astronomical observatories and burial sites. Their rammed earth construction was carefully engineered to withstand the frequent flooding of this karst region, demonstrating an understanding of hydraulic engineering that predates most written engineering traditions by centuries. During the solstices and equinoxes, the mound's shadows aligned with the sun, creating a farming calendar written in architecture rather than words. Jade artifacts and inscribed oracle bones also reveal that this remote plateau was connected to Han Dynasty trade networks long before roads reached the region. Vine-covered stone steps lead to the summits, where rainmaking rituals were once performed above the surrounding terraced fields. Even the stepped profiles of those fields mirror the shape of the mounds themselves, creating a remarkable harmony between the landscape and the structures. These monuments stood as symbols of the Yelang people's independence until their kingdom was conquered in 27 AD. Today, the Buyei people continue to maintain altars at the base of the pyramids, offering millet and preserving oral traditions of celestial rulers whose authority was measured not by the land they controlled, but by the movement of the stars. Around 10,000 years ago, as the last ice age came to an end, nature left behind a rare gift on the grasslands of Inner Mongolia, a prehistoric lake that remains from a world long gone. Even today, it continues to preserve a way of life that has changed little across the vast steppe. Along its shores live the Mongolian eagle hunters who have passed down the tradition of training golden eagles to hunt foxes for generations. For them, it is more than a survival skill. It is a living bond between people, nature, and history. The lakebed sediments preserve layers of birch pollen dating back thousands of years, helping scientists trace the history of the steppe and the early domestication of horses on these plains. These ancient records provide a remarkable glimpse into the region's distant past. Each year, flocks of flamingos paint the shallow waters pink, just as winter ice begins to spread across the lake, forming natural pathways that reunite nomadic clans after months apart. For the people of the steppe, this lake is more than a landmark. It is nature's calendar, quietly guiding their lives through the changing seasons. Three 3,000 feet above the Shang River Valley, a limestone ridge, carved by millions of years of erosion, once provided the cover that changed the course of a revolution. Gao Yuling Ridge is defined by pinnacles so sharp and terrain so dense that in 1934, during the Long March, it offered crucial concealment for the Red Army as soldiers navigated narrow paths through bamboo groves so thick the sky was reduced to a thin strip of light above their heads. Local farmers shared rice and medicinal herbs with the soldiers during a period of famine and relentless pursuit, and the strategic delay of enemy forces that the ridge made possible lasted several days and shaped decisions that altered the trajectory of the entire campaign. Today, stone markers along the trails record these events. For visitors who walk the same paths, the soldiers once used their footsteps falling on ground that remembers the weight of history in a way that monuments alone cannot convey. The ridge also supports a diverse community of orchids and pheasants, a quiet reminder that ecological balance and human endurance have coexisted on this terrain for longer than either has been measured. There is a place on Earth where the land itself seems to burst into flames. More than 50 square miles of wetlands transform into a blazing sea of crimson, creating a spectacle so intense that it feels as if nature has set itself on fire. The astonishing truth is that this sea of fire is not caused by lava or any geological phenomenon. Instead, it is created by a single salt-tolerant plant called Swida heteroptera. As temperatures begin to fall, millions of these plants turn from green to deep crimson, transforming a river delta shaped over more than 7,000 years into one of the most breathtaking natural spectacles on Earth. Beneath this crimson landscape lies a thriving ecosystem. More than 260 bird species depend on these wetlands, including the endangered red-crowned crane. Few people realize that this remarkable habitat once stood on the brink of destruction after decades of oil extraction. Yet nature achieved an extraordinary comeback. Thanks to decades of conservation efforts, Panjin Red Beach has become the world's largest breeding ground for Saunders's gull, standing today as a powerful reminder of nature's incredible resilience and its ability to recover from what once seemed irreversible. In the heart of the Taklamakan Desert, once known as the Sea of Death, a 342-mile highway cuts straight through towering sand dunes without being swallowed by the shifting sands. Along both sides of the road, more than 10 million poplar trees have been planted by hand to keep the desert at bay. Completed in 1995, the highway connects the oasis cities of Hotan and Luntai, crossing dunes that rise more than 1,000 feet high. Its elevated surface and specially engineered petroleum-treated asphalt are designed to resist encroaching sand, solving a challenge that people have faced since the Han Dynasty more than 2,000 years ago. Centuries ago, Silk Road merchants avoided crossing the heart of the Sea of Death, choosing instead to travel along the desert's edge as they transported jade and other valuable goods. Today, at dawn, wild Bactrian camels still emerge through the desert haze, their silhouettes echoing the ancient caravans that once linked east and west. Along the highway, traditional nomadic yurts continue to preserve the Uyghur people's renowned hospitality despite centuries of change. More than an engineering achievement, this highway is a lifeline across one of the world's most isolated and unforgiving landscapes where modern innovation and the timeless legacy of the Silk Road continue to meet amid an endless sea of sand. At an elevation of nearly 4,900 meters, there is a place where the sky seems to fall to the earth. The snow-covered Kunlun Mountains are reflected on the lake with such astonishing clarity that it feels as though one more step would carry you straight into the sky. This is Dongtai Jinai Lake, a saline lake covering nearly 300 square miles, formed by tectonic uplift around 2 million years ago. Fed by glacial melt from the Kunlun Mountains, it not only sustains the lake itself, but also supports the entire hydrological system of the surrounding plateau. Since the Tang Dynasty, yak herders have walked the lake's shores by lamplight, performing ceremonies to honor the water spirits they believe bring prosperity to their herds. Along the shoreline, Neolithic salt deposits reveal that this remote lake once served as an important link in the trade networks of the Silk Road. Today, delicate salt crystals continue to form along the water's edge, a silent reminder of a landscape that has endured far longer than any civilization that has passed through it. As night falls, nomadic camps gather over cups of butter tea, while ancient epics of the water spirits drift across the still waters where the sky and the earth seem forever merged into one. There is a lake whose color never stays the same. Within just a few hours, its surface can shift from emerald green to deep blue and brilliant turquoise, as if nature were constantly repainting the landscape. Located more than 10,000 feet above sea level in the mountains of Qinghai, Emerald Lake was formed around 1.5 million years ago as the Tibetan Plateau rose. Fine glacial silt suspended in the water gives the lake its vivid green glow, while visibility of nearly 100 feet transforms its surface into a giant mirror reflecting the Kilian Mountains with breathtaking precision. Each summer, local herders set up felt yurts along the shoreline, taking advantage of the brief season when the surrounding grasslands flourish. Scientists have also discovered seasonal thermal layers that create striking blue-green patterns visible from the surrounding ridgelines. Beneath the crystal-clear water rainbow, trout glide through the shallows, while local legends speak of mysterious guardians watching over the lake from below. At dawn, delicate blue forget-me-not flowers bloom along the shore, and the sound of yak bells echoes across the valley, preserving a way of life that has endured on these highlands for countless generations. Standing on this bridge, the river below almost disappears from view, not because it is too far away, but because you are more than 1,854 feet above the valley floor, suspended on one of the highest bridges ever built on Earth. Completed in 2016, the Beipanjiang Bridge stretches more than 4,400 feet across the Beipan Gorge, reducing what was once a 6-hour journey between Jiangxi and Liupanshui to just a matter of minutes. Even more astonishing, the entire structure was built in a mountainous region plagued by frequent landslides. To conquer this immense chasm, engineers used more than 450,000 tons of steel, raising bridge towers nearly 883 feet high and constructing a cable-stayed system capable of withstanding winds of up to 150 miles per hour. Yet behind this modern engineering marvel lies an ancient inspiration, the traditional vine bridges once built by the Bai people, whose centuries-old ingenuity helped shape this masterpiece of steel and concrete. As night falls, thousands of LED lights illuminate the bridge, recreating the star patterns of the Miao Lunar Festival and transforming the entire structure into a ribbon of light suspended above the darkness. And when the last rays of sunset catch the soaring cables, the bridge no longer feels like a road, but a gateway suspended between the earth and the sky. There is a wave that doesn't crash toward the sea. It races inland instead, rising up to 30 feet high and traveling at nearly 25 miles per hour. This towering wall of water surges up the Qiantang River, creating one of the most powerful tidal bores on Earth. The phenomenon occurs when tides from the East China Sea are funneled into the narrowing shape of Hangzhou Bay, compressing the incoming water into a single advancing wave that charges upstream with tremendous force. For thousands of years, this natural spectacle has shaped local calendars, fishing traditions, and spiritual life. Since the Han Dynasty fishermen have timed their nets to the boar's remarkably predictable arrival, using its rhythm to improve their harvests. Every mid-autumn festival, enormous crowds gather along the ancient sea walls of Yangguan to watch the roaring wall of water crash against the stone, a tradition recorded for more than 1,000 years. Centuries ago, bamboo channels harnessed the tidal force to grind rice. Today, the very same wave that once inspired awe and fear has become a challenge for surfers from around the world, where the raw power of nature continues to meet traditions that have endured for millennia. There is a China the world has never seen. It is not found among dazzling modern cities, nor does it appear on any tourist map. It is a hidden world, concealed behind endless mountain ranges, beneath rivers that have flowed for thousands of years, and within ancient structures that have stood in silence through the passage of time. In this place, the darkness seems to have a voice, and the mist feels as though it is hiding an invisible heartbeat. Moss-covered temples, bottomless chasms, and forgotten relics of the past remain as if they are waiting for a single moment, the instant when something that has slept for centuries finally begins to awaken. And perhaps the most terrifying thing is not what humanity has already discovered, but what still lies hidden beneath the surface. Join us on a journey into a mysterious China unlike anything ever revealed, a land where every footprint, every ancient structure, and every hidden corner may hold a story that surpasses everything the human imagination has ever been able to conceive. Between Beijing and Shanghai lies a province that most travelers pass through without ever truly seeing. They cross it in a matter of hours, unaware that beneath the rails and the highways hides the longest bridge on Earth, the oldest canal in continuous use, and one of the fastest machines ever switched on by human hands. Few realize that within this single province, ancient waterways guide modern megacities, and temples that have stood for 1,000 years share the same skyline with towers that opened last year. This is Jiangsu, home to more than 85 million people, a place where the distance between two millennia can be measured in a single city block. This is a province of more than 85 million people, where ancestral canals guide modern megacities and where rice paddies extend to the very edge of advanced manufacturing zones. To cross Jiangsu without stopping is to miss one of the most layered and compelling regions on the planet. In the heart of Nanjing, a tower of glass and steel rises 450 meters into the sky, designed by Adrian Smith, the same architect who drew the Burj Khalifa. This 89-story structure was completed in 2010 and stands as the tallest building in the city and one of the tallest in all of China. Completed after 5 years of construction, Zifeng Tower houses retail and office space in its lower sections, a 500-room international hotel in its upper reaches, and restaurants and a public observatory at its summit that offer a 360-degree view of a city layered with history. From that altitude, Nanjing reveals itself in cross-section. Ancient walls extend toward clusters of modern skyscrapers. Temple roofs catch the light beside glass facades. The city that once served as the capital of multiple dynasties unfolds beneath the viewer as a living record of survival and reinvention. The name Nanjing translates to southern capital, just as Beijing means northern capital. But Nanjing is far more than a name. It was the capital during several of the most turbulent and transformative periods in Chinese history, and the view from the top of Zifeng Tower carries the weight of every one of them. Few places in China reveal the transformation of a nation with the clarity of the presidential palace in Nanjing. Built over centuries and remodeled by successive regimes, the complex blends classical Chinese architecture with the administrative style of the early Western colonial period in a combination that feels less like a design choice and more like a political autobiography written in stone. The result is more than an unusual collection of buildings. It is a physical record of a nation navigating imperial decline, revolution, and the birth of a republic without ever abandoning the ground on which those changes took place. Today, visitors walk through gardens, courtyards, and government halls just as generations did before them. The architecture does the work of narration, and the only task required of the visitor is to walk through it slowly enough to understand what the walls are saying. The most remarkable thing about this temple may not be the building itself. At first glance, it appears to have stood here unchanged for centuries. Its roof lines and courtyards carrying the quiet permanence of a structure that time decided to leave alone. Originally founded in 1034 during the Song dynasty, the Confucius Temple has endured nearly 1,000 years of upheaval. Fires and wars ravaged it repeatedly. The Taiping Rebellion nearly erased it. The destruction of 1937 left it in ruins once more. The complex visitors see today dates largely from 1984, reconstructed in the architectural styles of the Ming and Qing dynasties with a fidelity that makes the reconstruction feel less like a replica and more like an act of insistence. But perhaps that is precisely what makes this place remarkable. Its history is not one of unbroken survival. It is one of constant renewal. A monument that has been destroyed and rebuilt so many times that the rebuilding itself has become the tradition. Built into the side of Newshu Mountain, the Usnisa Palace is a multi-billion-dollar architectural marvel that fuses ancient Buddhist tradition with aesthetics so futuristic they feel borrowed from a civilization that has not yet arrived. Completed in 2015 with an estimated cost exceeding $600 million, the cultural park spares nothing in materials. Vast quantities of rare marble, gold leaf, crystal, and advanced LED lighting systems create interior spaces so luminous that walking through them produces the sensation of standing inside something simultaneously sacred and technological. Just west of Shanghai rises a city where time seems reluctant to move in a single direction. Suzhou has flourished for more than 25 centuries, and its ancestral canals, graceful stone bridges, and white houses along the waterways have earned it the enduring title of the Venice of the East. But within the old city, a labyrinth of narrow waterways, arched bridges, and centuries-old, whitewashed houses lining the canal edges creates a living museum whose atmosphere belongs to an age that most cities surrendered long ago. Yet Suzhou has never been content to live in its past. Just minutes from the ancient quarter, glass towers rise above research parks and financial districts. High-speed trains connect the city to Shanghai in under 30 minutes. In Suzhou, you do not have to choose between the ancient and the futuristic. You simply cross the street. In the heart of Suzhou rises the gate to the east, a colossal arch formed by two towers connected at their crowns at a height of 300 meters. The silhouette dominates the skyline like a monumental gateway, though many residents observe with a grin that it resembles something considerably more pedestrian. 12 years of continuous development, from the first excavation in 2004 to its opening in 2015, were a silent march toward a structure that would redefine the city's visual identity. Hidden within that arch of steel and glass lies an isolated world, luxury suites wrapped in mist, an aerial garden suspended between the tower crowns, and an observation deck that frames the city below like a painting composed by altitude and distance. But the true spectacle begins when darkness falls. The structure sheds its cold, grey daytime appearance and awakens as a gigantic animated screen, broadcasting light and color across the skyline in displays so vivid the building seems to have exchanged its physical form for something made entirely of illumination. Behind the gate to the east, a mechanical kingdom of more than 1,100,000 square meters rises to seize the living heart of the city. Countless undulating multicolored glass panels form the living incarnation of the mythical fire phoenix. It extends its majestic wings over the western bank of Jinji Lake, and the canopy it creates is recognized as one of the largest freeform glass roofs on the planet. Within this seven-story labyrinth, a world of pure science fiction luxury reveals itself to anyone who enters. 600 international brands share space with an Olympic-sized ice rink and 60,000 square meters of rooftop gardens, all contained beneath a single sweeping roof. Directly upon the imposing glass facade, a 45-meter water curtain cascades abruptly, roaring as it tears through the silence and paying homage to Suzhou's ancient identity as a city shaped and defined by water. In 1994, a supreme pact between China and Singapore gave birth to this district, a carefully planned city within a city anchored by Jinji Lake and crowned by the Suzhou International Finance Square, the tallest tower in the city at 450 meters. The tower's sweeping curved form draws its inspiration from an ancestral legend, the carp leaping over the Dragon Gate, a traditional Chinese symbol of prosperity and transformation made vertical in glass and steel. When darkness falls, the illuminated crown of the tower erupts abruptly in flame, transforming into a mystical beacon of light that commands the skyline and declares that the fishing village this land once resembled has long since ceased to exist. Suspended at its imposing peak, you find yourself capturing the grand confrontation between two giants, the proud silhouette of the gate to the east and the glowing needle of the International Finance Square face each other across the water like rivals whose competition has produced beauty rather than conflict. This marvel is called the Suzhou Eye. Rising 128 meters directly above the water, this powerful entity has recently undergone a multi-year transformation to become one of the largest overwater Ferris wheels in Asia. Moving along its structure are 28 isolated glass capsules. They carry passengers on a slow, 30-minute expedition above the waterfront, ascending to a height where the city and the lake merge into a single, panoramic composition that changes with every degree of rotation. Yet the greatest secret reveals itself only when the sun sets. It is then that the last rays of daylight ignite the 11-square-kilometer lake in gold, and the neon grids of the surrounding skyline blink to life, and the view from the top of the wheel becomes something that no other vantage point in the city can replicate. stretching across more than 5 hectares, the largest and most celebrated classical garden in the entire city. A UNESCO World Heritage Site proves that there is nothing humble about architectural poetry when it has been practiced with 500 years of refinement. Created during the Ming Dynasty by a retired imperial official who claimed he sought nothing more than a quiet life of gardening. The humble administrator's garden uses water as the absolute soul of its landscape. Nearly a third of the grounds are covered by interconnected ponds that reflect the sky, the pavilions, and the carefully positioned trees with a clarity that makes every surface feel doubled. Interconnected ponds, graceful stone bridges, and elegant pavilions are carefully arranged so that each turn reveals a completely new visual composition. The garden does not repeat itself. It unfolds, one frame at a time, like a scroll painting that the visitor reads by walking through it. Corridors and lattice windows function as natural picture frames, blurring the line between structure and wilderness. Walking its bamboo-lined pathways feels like stepping into a living, breathing Ming Dynasty ink painting that someone forgot to hang on a wall and instead left standing in the open air. More than 25 centuries ago, the first strike of a shovel broke the earth and gave official birth to the Grand Canal, the longest artificial waterway on the planet, stretching 1,776 kilometers from north to south. This is not a dormant historical monument. This monumental feat of engineering has been used continuously by humanity without interruption for over 2,400 years. Dynasty after dynasty expanded, repaired, and modernized it, transforming it into a mega project that has remained under construction for nearly 24 centuries. Every kilometer of churning water stands as fierce proof of humanity's power to conquer nature. The canal, linking Beijing in the north with Hangzhou in the south, connected 5 of China's major river systems and served as the artery that held the empire together, carrying food, taxes, soldiers, and merchandise between regions separated by thousands of kilometers. Abandon every conventional definition of a bridge, because the Danyang Kunshan Grand Bridge is a marvel that bends space and compresses geography into a single, unbroken line. This engineering beast stretches so far that even a bullet train running along its deck needs more than half an hour to cross it. This is the definitive revolution of modern architectural thinking. This vital bridge was built to unite two of the most economically powerful corridors in China, and it was completed in 4 years and opened in 2011. Standing before this colossal structure, all geographical boundaries are completely erased. It transforms an immense space into a single straight line, and the train that crosses it moves not through the landscape but above it, indifferent to every river, canal, and valley that passes beneath. Off the coast of Jiangsu, where thick fog devours the horizon, a fleet of imposing white structures rises from the hostile sea. Their blades slice through coastal mist and marine winds, generating billions of kilowatt-hours of clean electricity every year and sending it directly to the mainland grid. At the heart of that inhospitable sea, Rudong houses the first high-capacity, flexible direct current offshore converter station, an engineering milestone that converts raw ocean wind into steady high-voltage power without intermediate steps. This offshore energy metropolis establishes a new era, completely severing every tie to the ashes of fossil fuels. It offsets millions of tons of carbon emissions while powering millions of homes from the wind above its own waves. This is a great expedition where humanity no longer flees from nature. In the midst of roaring waves and howling winds, these towers of steel and engineering stand as proof that the ocean, for all its hostility, can be converted from obstacle to energy source by anyone willing to plant steel in its floor and hold it there. Ninety kilometers southwest of Shanghai, along the shore of West Lake, sits the city that Marco Polo visited in the 13th century and called the most splendid and magnificent in the world. After traversing some of the grandest cities of his era, Marco Polo chose Hangzhou, a paradise where pagodas, pavilions, and arched bridges reflected on still water beneath weeping willows. That description remains accurate today. Mist still drifts across the lake, exactly as it did in Song Dynasty ink paintings more than 1,000 years ago. But on the other side of the Qiantang River, another Hangzhou emerges. The ancient paradise has transformed into the technology capital of China, birthplace of Alibaba, global headquarters of a digital empire. The skyline of gold-tinted spheres and soaring glass towers functions as the brain for the world's most advanced smart city networks. Marco Polo's Paradise on Earth now writes the software that moves the world's money and shakes its stock markets. 700 years between those two sentences, and the same city in both. What can rise defiantly in the absolute epicenter of the most brutal tidal forces on the planet? The answer is the Hangzhou Bay Bridge, 36 kilometers of cable stayed crossing over open tidal water, curving gently so that drivers stay alert across a sea that produces some of the fastest and most destructive tidal bores on Earth. How can humanity conquer such a treacherously seismic risk zone? Through a mega highway that defies every limit conventional engineering had previously accepted. Engineers designed the sweeping curved highway to withstand fierce typhoons, severe earthquake vulnerability, and the immense tidal pressure of the bay. Would you believe in a fortress suspended between the boundaries of ocean and universe? In the very heart of the bay, an artificial island of 10,000 square meters, poetically named the Land Between the Sea and Sky, features an exhibition center and a 90-meter observation tower. Can a single structure redefine the destiny of an entire territory? By forging a direct lifeline between Jiaxing and Ningbo, this marvel slashed transit time between Shanghai and the southern ports in half, locking the entire Bay Area into one hyper-connected economic loop. This unmatched technology empire was born from the ashes of 30 bitter rejections hurled at an unknown outsider. From a small Hangzhou apartment in 1999, a former English teacher who had been turned away by every employer he approached built what would become the largest e-commerce ecosystem on the planet. Its staggering power transforms ordinary days into financial tempests, unleashing colossal transaction volumes that devour records and redefine the meaning of commercial scale. On China's Singles Day, its platforms have processed over 500 billion yuan in a single 24-hour period. By destroying every traditional barrier, this entity has locked humanity into a hyper-connected economic circuit. It is no longer a simple platform. It is the silent infrastructure upon which a significant portion of the world's commerce now depends. This is not simply a museum. It is a living, breathing organism, stretching over more than 60,000 square meters, sustaining itself on sunlight, wind, and harvested rain while delivering what may be the most immersive environmental experience in all of China. Where the Kayantang River unleashes its waves, two glass entities of 250 meters rise silently through the mist, their undulating facades engineered to mirror the powerful rolling movement of the tidal bore that passes beneath them. Beneath this mysterious facade lies a living, breathing organism. The structure quietly draws natural wind deep into its core, reducing the need for mechanical cooling and proving that sustainability at this scale is not a compromise, but a design advantage. A dense, urban infrastructure, flowing in perfect harmony with the heartbeat of nature. While the rest of the world debates future strategies, in Hangzhou, the machines are already leaving the factory floor and entering the streets. This is not a laboratory demonstration. This is a mass production assembly line, turning science fiction into shipping containers. This is the home of Unitree Robotics, the breeding ground of some of the most agile, quadruped, and humanoid robots on the planet. They conquer stairs, uneven terrain, and obstacle courses at speeds that exceed the average human walking pace. Standing out from the assembly line is the G1, a 35-kilogram mass production humanoid. It runs, bends, and operates using fully autonomous cluster AI that allows dozens of machines to think together as a single distributed intelligence. In this race, while the rest of the world is still drawing concepts on whiteboards, Hangzhou is already packing and shipping hardware. Released in January of 2025, DeepSeek's large language model rapidly surpassed every other application in downloads across the United States, a penetration speed that no competing product had achieved. Its arrival acted as a silent shockwave, erasing nearly $600 billion in market capitalization from American AI companies in a single trading day, the largest single-day technology stock loss in U.S. market history. Now, the paradise on Earth no longer merely preserves ancestral history. It builds the invisible intelligence that directly moves the markets and reshapes the technological balance of the planet. Before January of 2020, the world barely knew Wuhan existed. Then, in an instant, this metropolis of 13 million became the first city in modern history to undergo a total pandemic lockdown, and the name became synonymous with a global crisis. For 76 days of isolation, the city held its breath. The lockdown was lifted. The virus remained. But Wuhan is 2,000 years older than that moment, and the city that the world met on its worst day had been building itself for millennia before the cameras arrived. Since the 19th century, it had already been the cradle of Chinese industrialization. The Hanyang Arsenal and Iron Works, established in 1890, was the largest industrial complex in all of Asia at the time of its construction. For millennia, a deep rift split this land into two isolated halves. This was the Yangtze at Wuhan, where savage waters and impossible width created a barrier that no technology had ever overcome. Before the bridge, the only way to cross was by ferry, and the sheer breadth of the river had divided the nation for as long as civilization had existed on its banks. In 1957, the first bridge over the Yangtze emerged, permanently shattering the millennial seal of the river. As the first dual-purpose road and rail crossing over the water, it linked the northern plains to the southern trading ports in a single, unbroken line. This monument transformed Wuhan from an isolated frontier into a crossroads of destiny, where the entire lifeblood of a nation could finally flow without interruption from one half of the country to the other. From the world's largest fiber optic cable manufacturing base, this region has transformed into a new technological power whose ambitions are measured in petaflops rather than production volumes. Every day, automated factories along this valley produce massive quantities of ultra-pure fiber optic cable, enough to circle the equator multiple times, commanding a significant share of the international market and quietly powering the global 5G network. At the heart of this revolution stands the Wuhan Artificial Intelligence Computing Center, a multi-petaflop computational powerhouse coordinating autonomous driving networks, deep learning systems, and smart city grids in real time. This is not simply a place where technology is manufactured. It is a place where technology is being redefined, from thinner fibers to faster processors to an intelligence infrastructure that the Valley is building not for the present, but for the decade that has not yet arrived. a golden steel giant stretching 4 kilometers across the river, the longest double-deck suspension bridge on Earth, carrying 12 lanes of traffic divided across 2 massive decks. Its main span of 1,700 meters is held by 2 powerful cables engineered to withstand 65,000 tons of pure tension. The upper level carries high-speed vehicular traffic, while the lower level connects directly to city streets with dedicated lanes for cyclists and pedestrians. The upper deck serves as a high-speed expressway. The lower connects directly to the urban fabric, with protected walkways and cycling paths that integrate the bridge into the daily movement of the city rather than separating it from the skyline. But this bridge is more than an engineering record. Its iconic autumn gold color was chosen by the residents of Wuhan themselves through an online vote, giving the structure not only a world record, but an identity selected by the people who see it every day. At 140 meters tall, a giant flower rises from the heart of Wuhan, not a monument to nature, but a machine that functions exactly like a real plant, harvesting sunlight and wind and converting them into clean energy. At the core of the Future Science and Technology City campus stands the Wuhan Energy Flower. Its massive flared roof features a 3,500 square meter solar array tilted at 20 degrees to track the sun. From the center of the bowl, a vertical axis wind turbine captures high-altitude air currents and feeds power directly into the local smart grid. Each year, this artificial flower produces hundreds of thousands of kilowatt-hours of clean electricity, transforming a building into a source of renewable energy that the surrounding infrastructure draws upon without interruption. It is not merely architecture. It is a glimpse of a future where cities no longer simply consume energy, but learn to create it from the same forces that have always surrounded them. First erected in the year 223 during the Three Kingdoms period, destroyed by fire more than a dozen times, and rebuilt in 1985 in a form that balances modern structural longevity with strict adherence to classical style. Standing atop Snake Hill, overlooking the Yangtze, the Yellow Crane Tower passed from a simple military lookout to a sanctuary for sages, immortals, and China's greatest poets. It was on these platforms that the Tang Dynasty poet Cui Hao wrote lines so flawless that even the great Li Bai reportedly dropped his brush in silent acknowledgement. with its brilliant yellow-tiled roofs sweeping upward like the wings of a crane in flight. The tower stands completely unmoved by time, a place where ancient poetry looks directly into the face of the towering mega-bridges of the modern world. A tower that poets have climbed for 1,000 years in a city the modern world met only on its worst day. Wuhan was 2,000 years old before that moment, and it will be itself long after the world has moved on to the next headline. Chongqing appears to be an impossible city, with a territory the size of Austria and more than 30 million inhabitants. Its greatest challenge has never been population, but terrain. Mountains, rivers, and gorges dissect the urban landscape in every direction, and the result is a city that builds not outward, but upward, downward, and sideways simultaneously. Here, roads rise above rooftops and metro lines pass directly through skyscrapers. At Liziba station, the train enters and exits through the 6th floor of a residential high-rise, and the building was constructed around the metro line rather than the other way around. The ultimate symbol of the city's complexity is the Huangjueyuan interchange, 5 levels of highway, 20 ramps weaving over and under one another, sending traffic in 8 directions at once. Navigation systems are said to fall silent above it. Chongqing is not a city that follows the landscape. It bends it, stacks it, and transforms it, turning impossible terrain into one of the most extraordinary urban environments on the planet. No longer confined by cold, rigid walls of concrete, visitors are welcomed into a breathtaking fusion of luxury retail and a 7-story indoor botanical garden sheltered beneath a 48-meter glass dome. The Twilight Forest seamlessly integrates an entire tropical rainforest ecosystem with nearly 300 plant species directly into the commercial core of one of the most chaotic mountain cities on Earth. This living energy intensifies with a majestic 20-meter waterfall that crashes between floors, casting a fine mist across floating plant islands and filling the atrium with a humidity that belongs to a jungle rather than a shopping center. The structure transcends the limits of mere architectural design to prove a profound truth. Even within the most mountainous and densely built metropolis, nature will always find a way to thrive if given the architecture to support it. At the dramatic confluence where the muddy Yangtze collides with the emerald depths of the Jialing, the Chongqing Grand Theatre rises from the riverbank like a colossal vessel frozen in mid-sail. Far beyond a simple monument of visual gravity, this concert hall stands as the cultural powerhouse of the Southwest. It is a gateway where classical symphonies echo across a neon-soaked, physics-defying skyline that has no equivalent anywhere else on Earth. Born from the rough, sweat-soaked hands of Yangtze River dock workers in the early 20th century, the hot pot of Chongqing transformed from a survival food of the poor into a culinary weapon of national obsession. Within this single mountainous metropolis, more than 30,000 smoke and fire labyrinths burn day and night, like shrines dedicated to a cuisine so intense it has become inseparable from the identity of the city itself. Crawling out from the fog-wrapped alleys of the mountain city, this culinary sorcery has crossed borders and oceans. Every major Chinese city and thousands of restaurants from London to Lagos to Los Angeles trace their version of this dish back to this single origin. Every rendition on Earth bows before this one dark source, a fortress of flavor perched high above the storm-battered banks of the Yangtze, where the recipe was first assembled not from a cookbook, but from the desperation of workers who needed heat, flavor, and sustenance in a single boiling pot. A single tower cable-stayed bridge whose 90-meter pylon is shaped like a massive weaving needle piercing the skyline, with 6 lanes of traffic on the upper deck and metro trains bursting from tunnels on the lower, all sharing the same vertical axis above the water. During national holidays, The upper deck is closed to vehicles and transformed into a pedestrian plaza elevated above the river, where millions gather to watch the modern city blend with the ancient stone stilt houses at its feet in a composition that only Chongqing could produce. Home to 21 million people, a population as large as Germany's, Chengdu embraces a lifestyle so profoundly relaxed. There is a saying in China that captures it perfectly: Chengdu is the city that holds you even after you leave. Yet beneath this serene exterior sits a roaring economic and technological engine whose output contradicts the tranquility of the streets above. As the anchor of the Tianfu New Area, Chengdu has evolved into the Silicon Valley of Western China. The city proves that the race to the future does not require sacrificing the soul of the past. Just 15 kilometers north of the city lies the Chengdu Research Base of giant panda breeding, home to more than 200 giant pandas. the largest captive population in the world. But behind their peaceful appearance lies a story of survival. Giant pandas exist nowhere else on Earth except the mountain forests of Sichuan, Gansu, and Shanxi. Fewer than 2,000 survive in the wild. Every bamboo grove they occupy is a last stand, and every cub born in captivity is a small victory against an extinction that has not yet been prevented. Even more remarkable, every giant panda outside China is not owned by another country, but temporarily loaned through agreements with the Chinese government. When those loans expire and are not renewed, the pandas are returned. They are not gifts. They are ambassadors on a leash of diplomacy that Beijing has never released. For more than a decade, it stood as the largest standalone structure on Earth by floor area, 1.7 million square meters of enclosed space, large enough to contain 20 Sydney Opera Houses or 3 Pentagon buildings. But the true wonder lies inside. At its heart is Paradise Island, an indoor oceanic paradise featuring the largest artificial beach and indoor wave pool in existence, a coastline manufactured in the landlocked heart of southwestern China. A massive 150-meter LED horizon screen stretches across the interior, recreating the illusion of infinite skies, artificial sunrises, and generated breezes 24 hours a day, regardless of what the weather is doing outside. In the heart of landlocked southwestern China, humanity accomplished the impossible. It built its own coastline, sealed beneath a single roof, and opened it to anyone willing to believe that the ocean is not a geography, but an experience. From the outside, it appears to be a peaceful 200-acre urban oasis, but beneath the vegetation hides a secret. 99% of this massive luxury district is buried underground. Known as the largest sunken retail complex in Asia, it transforms the earth below into a hidden city of canyon-like walkways and crystalline pavilions. Architects excavated 30 meters deep to construct a subterranean world where daylight and fresh air still reach the deepest avenues through carefully positioned openings. By night, 6 towering silver columns called the Towers of Life come alive with synchronized performances of light and water, turning the subterranean world into a spectacle visible from the surface, as though the Earth had decided to announce what it was keeping beneath. At first glance, Five Flower Lake appears as a fragment of crystal hidden in the mountains. Its water is so clear that ancient tree trunks preserved on the lakebed meters below are visible from the surface. The color is not paint, it is chemistry. These colors are no illusion. They are the result of thousands of years of nature's quiet work. Calcium-rich groundwater rises through limestone, releases carbon dioxide on contact with air, and forms travertine. Over time, this natural stone builds dams that create a staircase of lakes. Each lake reflects light differently, producing shades of turquoise, emerald, sapphire, and amber. Then, on August 8, 2017, a magnitude 7 earthquake struck the valley. Two travertine dams did not survive. Norilang waterfall, one of the widest in China, was reduced to a trickle. The landscape that had taken millennia to compose was reshaped in seconds. In an unprecedented effort, engineers rebuilt the damaged formations by hand, recreating a geological process that normally takes 1,000 years and compressing it into 3. They replicated what the Earth had done with water and time, using human hands and an understanding of chemistry that the builders of the original dams never possessed. Today, the waters have returned, and researchers discovered that some of the colors of Five Flower Lake are even more vivid now than they were before the earthquake struck. The valley proved something that most damaged landscapes never get the chance to demonstrate. That beauty, given the right conditions and the right commitment, can come back stronger than what was lost.